Hey, good evening, everybody. Hope everybody is well. Hope everybody's having a wonderful evening. I am stoked to be with you guys live tonight as I do a recap of our session that I did today with students at our Boys and Girls Club of Castles and Crusades. If you're not familiar with the game, let me just tell you, it is a fantastic game, uh, super easy to teach, which I think is important in a role-playing game. It's easy to teach, um, easy to learn, easy to run. Emphasizing the siege system, which means if you're good at something, well, then you're very good at it. Your number then to roll for success is like a 12. But if you are not very good at something, well, you roll an 18 and or above. If you're not very good, so that keeps every class kind of in its lane. And we had an excellent session today. I will tell you this though, that these are middle school boys. First of all, the story that I have to tell you tonight, hang around because this is maybe one of the I don't know most I don't know how to say it the most gratifying, maybe that's the good word, maybe it's the most gratifying session I've run with these students, and I'll tell you why a little bit later. If you're just tuning in, have no idea who I am, my name is Paul, aka Flint Fireforge, and I have been playing role playing games for wow, coming up on let's see, what is it, 35 years? I'll say 35. 36 years. It's coming up on 36. And I've played a lot of different games. I've played a lot of different systems. I wouldn't say that I'm married to any of them, but I enjoy all of them. Things like Shadow Dark or Castles and Crusades, D&D 5e 2014. I like that. So yeah, I like a lot of different systems. Tiny Dungeon. I ran that for a group of students at the Boys and Girls Club as well. And that turned out to be a very good system. And so, I'm trying different systems with students too, just so that I won't get bored of running the same thing over and over again. I'm finding the best systems to run with what group of students. And I have found that, the choices I've made thus far, pretty good. I'm not unhappy with that. And so, if you are interested, by the way, before I get into the storytelling, get into the adventure part of it, and I know we're waiting for a few people to kind of chime in here and show up. If you're in the chat, thank you for being here. Thanks for being a part. If you are interested, I do have my, let me reach over here. I know everybody's doing sales, and so I am doing a sale of my Crit Happens zines. And this particular bundle, I have 9 in the bundle. Things like the clans of Kel and Kale. This is an original setting, which is Kriesh is my setting. You get Land of the Gods. You get Guardians of Kriesh. You get the Cults of Kriesh. Let's see. You get the Corrupted, about the undead and what the undead are like in my little world. You get the Witches of the Blackened Earth. You get the Dragons of Kriesh. And you get the Survivors of Kriesh. So you get quite a bit. Only half price. So normally it's $19.99. It's going to be only $9.99. So if you are interested in getting yourself some zines, you're putting your players into a new world, I've done my best to build this. And so this is a complete set. It's an ongoing project. And so I may get back to it. I'm working on an adventure right now for it. I have a couple. I have one sandbox adventure, and I have working on an adventure right now, which is a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more direct. So if you're interested in Crit happens. Let me put a link. I'll put a link in the chat, but I'll also put a link down in the description as well. If you are interested, you can buy it for yourself, buy it for somebody you know and love. Let's see. Let's put that here. And then if you're looking for, Castles and Crusades, I'll put links to there as well. If you're interested in the Castles and Crusades program, RPG. So, once again, highly recommend, highly recommend. And once again, don't forget to go ahead and click the thumbs up button. Tells me you like the video and you want more of them. Helps with the algorithm, trying to reach 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year, if that's possible. I think I have 60, I want to say 68. 68, I'll say 68. To be conservative, I'll say 68. 68 more subs to go, so if you're not a subscriber, we'd love you to be part of the community here. And yeah, so we're going to jump into it. Let's go ahead and get into this particular session. So in the last session, we'll recap the last session before we recap this session. And by the way, there's a playlist for all these. So on my channel, if you go to playlist and you go to the Castles and Crusades playlist, these videos will be there. And you can listen to how how I run the games with these middle school students, with these teenagers, and their reactions to it. It is all quite fascinating, quite frankly. And these kids are 100% in. There's nobody dragging. These kids are all the way in, and you'll know they're in because of what I'm going to tell you tonight too. So let me go ahead and go to our first of all, let me just show you the setup here. There's the setup. And we are revisiting, like I said, the last session, the students went into, I didn't give them anything. I didn't tell them about setting. The setting for Castles and Crusades is aired, but it doesn't matter to them. They were like, oh, we're going in a dungeon. Cool, let's go down there. They were fine with that. But in this scenario, they had, if you can see right here, there's an Etin possibly, that they found. They had a mimic, which they were fighting. So that was going on. Of course, there's the setup there. You can see the 12 and the 18, which are the numbers that I show them so they know which ones to go to. You got miniatures, you got all that good stuff. And that's kind of the setup. I brought the book with me this time. Normally I don't do that, but I wanted to kind of show them that. And then I also brought, just for fun, not that I'm using any monsters from it, but I just brought the Tome of Beasts, just because. So just, before the game got started, not all the students arrive at the same time. So I gave them something to look at with, just say, look through the monster book. Because I feel like, if you look through the monster book, you can see some pretty cool things in there. I mean, for me and for many others, a lot of us got hooked because we looked at the monsters and we went, oh, this is cool. Where can we get these monsters? And I remember there's a young man that was looking at us, man, there's a lot of monsters in here. I went, yep. I said, there are. He says, what do you say? There's like 1,000 monsters. Yeah, maybe there might be 1,000 monsters in there. So he enjoyed looking at it, and he had fun just checking it out and expanding their knowledge a little bit about, oh, wow, there's monsters and there's books and there's rule books that tell me how to play. And one young man said, oh, where did you get this? I will have to get this for myself. And I said, well, you can buy it on Amazon. It's out there for you to have. So let me go to then, let me make sure this is the first picture here. Yeah, we'll say this is it. We'll start here. So in this room, and let me put up another, let me put myself in here. Right over here. So they dispatched the mimic, and they're having they had a conversation with, they're all back together, by the way. So maybe this is not, let me see if I have another picture. No. Let me see if I have, hold on here. Is that the same? No, that's close up. Okay. All right. So we can start. We'll start from here. Well, maybe not. We're going to start from there. Start from here. So in the previous session, they were negotiating with this Etten, what they thought was a real Etten. Turns out it was not. And then they were beating up the Mimic, and they found some treasure in there. And this group found a set of blueprints for a construct that was being built. And unbeknownst to them, this Etten was the construct. And so within this construct was a little gnome who was building the construct. And he had a conversation, the gnome did, with the two of the party members. And I want to thank those of you who helped me out with the last session, because this is completely out of my mind here. This is like I just threw this in here and I said, well, I think I'm stuck. Somebody had brought up a hag. Now I thought of the artificer, which is what the gnome is, and then you guys came up with the hag. So what I had was, how I resolved this was, I had the gnome was deceived by the hag into getting married, and so the gnome then became aware that his wife was a hag. He was building this construct, not necessarily to fight with her, but he was building it, and so anyway, they were at war with each other, and so the gnome divulges that to the party and makes a deal with them. Well, I need you to get rid of my wife because she's a hag and she does. I know there's so many men that say that. It's not true for most men, but in this case, it is 100% true that this man's wife was a hag. Not usually the case in most other marriages, but he was deceived by this hag, and now wants her gone. So he's promising treasure, he's promising them all those kind of things. And in this room here, I gave them a couple of clues. One, there was a picture of a woman who the painting had been scarred with a dagger. And there was, in fact, a secret room in here. And the thief was able to find it. Hey, Mike B. What's up, man? Good to see you. Glad you're here. Glad to join. And they wind up finding the secret door. He told her, he says, my wife disappears in the middle of the night, and I can't find her. She she enters in and enters out, but I've not been able to find this secret passage maybe that he thinks that is there. So the thief then checks for it, finds it, and opens the door. And there's these cobblestones that kind of go down, and then there's a rickety bridge going down into this area here, which we'll get to in a minute. So this is a construct, is an Etten construct, which I think worked out really well. And then you have, like I said, they're going down, they set the order, and they're going to go over the rickety bridge. So the rickety bridge is exactly that, a rickety bridge leading down into kind of a swampy area. Because this particular hag is a green hag, and she had this secret lair down underneath. There was the waterfall, and then down it would go beneath that into kind of a swampy area. And so they're all crossing the thing here. So they cross it, and they have to roll to make sure they don't fall through. All of them managed to do it except for the magic user. And the magic user, the wizard, failed and fell through, took points of damage. And then he called them. He says, "Hey guys, you got to get me out of here. Get me out of here. There's something down here." This will come into play later. They eventually get him out, and they take them. And then when you get to this point, let me see if I can change things here. Let's see. Okay. As you can see right here above my head right here, these are stairs. So not only did they have to maneuver the rickety bridge going down, they had to maneuver these slimy stairs that they had to come down into this swampy area. And here is your hag with a cauldron. And I decided to throw in some children that were above, in a cage above the cauldron. This is where things get wild. So they wind up, they say, all right, we're going to do battle. We're going to do battle. There's no negotiating, right? This is where they just go full murder hobo here, because they're not dealing with this. The hag is bad. They go, we're not dealing with her. I was able to, she was able to do some things, but I mean, you're talking about 4 against 1. And she also said, hey, I'm going to go ahead. If you guys come near me, I'm going to drop these children into the thing. Well, the thief had an idea. He didn't think this through. The hag had a rope attached to the, to the cage where the children were. He says, well, I'm going to cut the rope. Okay. So the rope between the top of her hand here and the cage, she cuts it. Well, what that did was drop the kids, the poor children, into the cauldron, which is a magic cauldron, which then produced evil frog people. So these children were then morphed into evil frog people, and the evil frog people came out of the cauldron eventually, and wound up attacking the party. So now I posed to them. I said, "Do you think the children, now frog children, could be transformed back?" And they're like, "Nope." And they proceeded to slay these now evil frog people that the spell turned them into. And they were merciless. I mean, throwing axes. Just one tried to run away, and the barbarian throws an axe. It's with an 18. What are you gonna do? They're not playing around with these guys. So that was a fun moment, between the knife throwing, people getting tangled up, all these things. And the latter part of this, I can show you the frog. Let me show you the frog people here. There we go. So the frog people are there. They're getting stomped on by the knight. The hag really has nowhere to go. I was going to make her disappear, decided not to make her disappear. I thought that was just cheating. Okay, then just let them go at it. And they did. Yeah, right? Brutal. They were brutal. They said, we're slaying the evil frog children now. And they were like, okay, well, that's the way that's going to go. And so they wound up doing that. And here's really the most interesting part. This is the part I wanted to get to. So the barbarian, everything's dead, right? They've dispatched the hag, gotten rid of the frog, now frog children, evil frog people that were once children. So they didn't slay the children; they slayed evil frog people, and they did not care. They did not care at all what they had done. They were like shocked. They were like they did it, which was funny. But then they were like, oh well, now we gotta kill him. That's the way that goes. And so here's the interesting part, and here's where the game, in my context, once again, I am, for those that may not know, I am also what is called a therapeutic a game master. I'm a certified therapeutic game master, which means I use this game along with healthcare, mental health professionals in certain contexts where they want to use the game as a way to teach things like empathy. Did not work in this case, although it might have. Wait till my story. It teaches things like, those things, teamwork, social emotional skills, those kind of things. And so what you had here now, some of these kids were gone, and we got down to the last kid that was there. He helped me clean up. I said, "Tell me about your character." And let me tell you what happens. Then let me back up a little bit. So the barbarian decides, I am going to. I only got to the first piece of treasure. I said, "There's a tin box with 63 gold pieces and 5 garnet gemstones worth 15 gold pieces apiece." And his eyes got real big. And he says, "I take it and run." What? I take it and run. I betray the group. Okay. He's going to betray the group. I don't know if he betrayed the group, really. I guess had he taken all the treasure, maybe he betrays the group, but I don't know. He saw it as a betrayal, which I find interesting. And so when I work through with this particular student, those kind of things, we talked about that. We talked about several other things. But he runs, and so I go ahead and I play it out with him because he's made a choice, and now we have to run it out. So we go back to where the bridge was, and I don't think I took a picture of this, but if we go back to where the bridge, right? So he has to run back up the stairs. He has to run back up the slimy stairs. He rolls. He gets it. He has to roll to make it past the bridge. He makes it the first time. He fails the second time. And when he fails the second time, he goes through the bridge. Now, I told him earlier, I didn't tell him, but earlier, remember when I said that the wizard fell through and he says, "Hey guys, you got to get me out of here. There's something down here." Now, if you did not catch my last live stream, they had to do battle with a water serpent, a water snake, that was loose up top, and they defeated that. But there was one more that was roaming around, and it had found its way down into the swamp area. And so now this snake is hunting him because he is trying to get out. So he runs, he drops to the bridge, he makes it to here, he climbs to the thing, he's doing battle with the snake is doing damage. His character now has 2 hit points. 2. If he says, "I want to jump over the snake," he is committed to jumping over the snake. And he jumps over the snake. He does it. Winds up. This is like Anaconda. This is like watching the movie Anaconda. That's what I felt like. Watching the movie Anaconda. And he jumps over the snake. And he runs back through the secret passage. He says, I take the dresser that's right here and I push it in front of the door. Shuts the door, puts that in front of it, which in fact buys him more the time that he needs to actually take the treasure and leave. So he leaves with that treasure. He gets out alive, believe it or not, against all odds. And I played it straight. I fudged no rolls. Everything was written out right in front of him. The snake would try to bite him. The snake would try to, wrangle him up. Did not do well. And he makes it out. So this is where we have the discussion. And he says something so interesting. First of all, I said, "Tell me when your character decided he was going to grab the treasure and run." He says, "When I was negotiating with the Etten and he told me about the treasure he had, he says, I knew I was going to do that." I went, "Oh, how interesting." And he does it. He gets out, and I said, "Well, so tell me, was it worth it?" And the kid says, "Yeah." The kid says, "Yeah, but," this is the key part here. He says, "But I didn't feel good about it." him as a player did not feel good about it. His character obviously felt tremendous about it, a great win for his character. But he himself did not feel good about it. And I said, hey, man, you played your character. I said, don't feel that way. I said, I understand what you're saying. You didn't like it because you betrayed your friends. You didn't like it because you ran off. You didn't like it because, but you played your character the way you want, the way your character was. So you did a great job. You played your character. And he said he didn't like but here's the deal then. He didn't like it. And I said, listen, you as a person are honorable. I said, you as a person, you as the player are respectful. You as a player are honest. You as a player are, not like this. I said, but your character, you played your character. That's all you can ask for. You played him the way you should have played him. So my goal was to build him up to say, look, it's okay to play your character this way. But what it revealed was he did not like playing the character that way. He didn't like being dishonest. He didn't like being, a dirtbag. He didn't like running away from, because I asked him, I said, you got this. I said, do you know that there was way more treasure there that you could have looked at? There's more treasure. You took the first thing that was found, which was 63 gold pieces and 5 garnets worth 15 gold pieces apiece. He says, yeah. He says, that's just what he took. He missed out on the other stuff, which was cool. There was magic items. There were some other things there. But we had a great conversation about playing your character, the way you play your character. I thought he did a great job of playing his character. And we played it out. He did risky things to do it. He knew he had to go back up the stairs. He knew he had to cross the bridge. He knew he might have to deal with some issues. He dealt with them. And I give him huge kudos. I mean, the size of the nards on this kid was huge. He just did it, man. That's all I can say. Let me go back to big screen here. We'll go big screen. And I just give him kudos because he played his character the way he wanted to play his character, but he didn't feel good about it. So what do we do about that? Well, that's the big lesson. That's the big takeaway. As a middle school students, if you remember this, you were in middle school, you tried on different faces. You tried on different attitudes. Maybe you played the tough guy. Maybe you played the athlete. Maybe you played the soft sensitive. Maybe you played the romantic. Maybe you played the intellectual. We go through all these things in middle school. We go through all these in high school, trying on these various faces and personalities. And I find this to be, at least in this young man's case, he tried on a face he didn't like, which I think revealed something to him. I don't like playing the bad guy. I don't like playing the scumbag. I don't like playing the guy that betrays his friends. I don't like that. So that's the purpose in playing these games. Yes, we want to have fun, but part of playing these games is to teach these possible life lessons that you find out. I don't like being the bad guy. I don't like playing that character. I didn't like playing that face. So from that point, he has another character. I don't think it's his, he has the same character. I said, so tell me then, in this other adventure we're doing, where does this fall on the timeline? Was this before this incident or after the incident? If it's before, well then he's not this guy maybe. He's not the bad guy. He's not and I won't even call him a bad guy. He saw it as a bad guy maybe. But I say he's just playing his character. He's a greedy dude, wanted to get his stuff and wanted to leave. That's it. That's what he wanted to do. And I said, was it before or is it after this? Because if it's after, it works both ways, right? Because if it's before, then he's not this guy. He could play the honorable guy. And that moment that he was arguing, or not arguing, but negotiating with the Etten construct, which happened to be the gnome in it, is when he decided he was going to steal the stuff and run away. So in the other adventure that is pre this, he's not that guy. He gets to play he gets to play him the way he wants to play him. If he had chosen that he's after this, that his character, the adventure the other adventure we're in happens after this adventure, well then he has a redemption arc. He does not have to play this guy the way he did. He could say now he has this past where he betrayed his friends and all this other stuff. But he chose to do the before, right? He chose to do the before, so he's not that person. So I find that just to be just a fascinating look inside the mind of this middle school and other middle schoolers that were there too that played. It's not just him. He happened to be the last one, and that was the decision he made. Everybody else played their role very, very well. They played it smart. They took a lot of risks and chances. Some paid off, some did not pay off. Some turned children into evil frog creatures in a cauldron. It happens. But that's my wrap up. That's my recap of this particular session. And I want to thank you guys for joining. Thanks for. If you have any questions, by the way, you're welcome to ask me questions. You can ask me questions about Castles and Crusades, running games for teenagers. About the adventure, any of those things, because, that's what this is. That's what this channel is about. This channel is about, using opportunities like this, especially, helping DMs run games, DM advice, sometimes reviews, sometimes those things. But, but I see this happening, the thing that could have had that happen with these teenagers could happen with any adult group. Right? You try on an adult, tell me in the comments here, have you ever played a character you didn't like playing? That you found out, and by the way, if you're watching this later, leave a comment, but in the chat, have you ever played a character and you played him or her and you went, I don't like that. I don't like the way I'm playing it. I don't like the character I'm playing because of choices that were made, or you tried to play it, evil or whatever. I went through this with one of my characters, and if you watch some of our live streams, if you check out the live streams for Shadow Dark, I played a barbarian named Terran Doomsinger, the Doomsinger, the one who brings the doom. And I was playing him like very bravado, like nobody could mess with him. He was top dog, right? I was playing him very arrogant. And somewhere there within the game, and my DM Tim was really good about this, is that his world basically broke my character down. My character wasn't allowed to do things, right? He wasn't allowed to behave in certain ways because the town, the world, the setting was crushing him. Like he wasn't getting away with stuff. He was gonna get beat down. And that's when me as a player said, maybe I'm going to change. Maybe I'm going to change the way I'm playing this character because he's not getting very far, right? And the lesson in life is, well, sometimes we play a character and you know what? It doesn't get us where we thought it was going to get us. So you have to change. You have to change the way you're playing it. And so I did. And I wound up enjoying playing the character after that, more so after that than the way I'd been playing him all along. He was still, certain ways, but he was far more agreeable, I'd say, and far more allowing the world in which he was in to breathe and be what it was supposed to be, that rather than me constantly butting up against it, right? But tell me in the comments here, in the chat, or in comments below later, have you played a character that you said, I didn't like playing that character. It didn't feel good, or didn't feel right, or didn't feel, like it was a good time to do that. But yeah, so lots of good stuff. I'm playing. I kick off this next series with them now, and this is crazy. I don't know why I did this with this particular group. Like we started 2 different adventures, That's insanity. So I'm there twice a week. And now this time I'm going to give them, if I can find it here, they're going to get their Questers journals, which every session they will write down something important, maybe that happened in that session, something they need to remember. They're going to get their certificates. I'm going to buy them pizza. I'm going to do the whole deal with them. And hopefully they learn some things along the way, because that's the goal, right? They learn something along the way. They learn a life lesson. They learn about teamwork. They learn when they split the party. Not great. They learn to take risks and take chances. And so, I reward those things so that in life, they'll take some chances as well. So it was a good opportunity, good mentoring opportunity. It was a great discussion. But yeah, appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. All you guys. Appreciate you, Mike and Welp and all the rest of you guys there. But I'm going to go watch some Monday Night Football, I think. That's what I'm going to do. Like I said, unless you have any questions, otherwise leave them down in the comments below. Don't forget, if you are interested, the Crit Happen zine, you can get 9 of them. 9 of these zines, and they're like large print, right there. They got lots of good stuff in them. Weird worship sites. Talking about the guardians of Koresh, which is the deities. Okay. Little background. But yeah, grab yourself some Crit Happens. Link down in the chat, also down in the description. But otherwise, you guys have a great evening tonight, and I'll catch you guys hopefully Thursday night for another recap to let you know where we're at. So that's it for now. You guys have a great night, and I will talk to you guys later on. Have a good night, everybody.